Hello everyone, I'm Jack Fisher and welcome to my world. And no matter what the state of the world may be at any given moment, we all need a healthy dose of comedy. Laughter is good for us, as individuals, as a society, and just in general. It comes in so many forms. It makes us laugh in different ways for different reasons. And while I'm no expert on the history and complexity of comedy, I am comfortable in making one definitive statement. The Naked Gun is the perfect comedy by every conceivable measure. Now, let me be clear. This is not just an opinion or some bold hot take. I am willing to fight and argue this position with every fiber of my being. Because throughout my life, I've seen comedy go through any number of trends, transitions, and fads. But even through all those changes, The Naked Gun remains just as funny for all the right reasons. It doesn't matter that these three movies came out from a span between 1988 and 1994. It doesn't matter that certain pop culture references are specific to that time period. It's still funny. The style, the characters, the tone, and the steady flow of jokes and bits. It truly is a flawless gem of pure, undiluted comedy. And that's worth celebrating, regardless of how you feel about the 2025 reboot. Now, I'm not going to talk much about the reboot in this video. I'm sure everyone has their opinions of it, and I'll gladly save those for another video. But for now, let's all just take a moment to appreciate the perfection that is the original Naked Gun trilogy. Starring the late Leslie Nielsen, The Naked Gun follows Lieutenant Frank Drebin of Police Squad. He's the lead detective of a task force meant to confront high-level, high-danger forms of crime. In terms of how he goes about it, well, that's the primary source of all the comedy gold. And The Naked Gun makes use of every minute ounce. In the first few minutes of every movie, there's this rapid-fire onslaught of cartoonish slapstick action, all of which is framed in a serious context. But the dedicated members of Police Squad are committed to throwing themselves into the depths of the criminal underworld, breaking up shady deals, protecting innocent people, and managing the chaos of the lawless world around them. This is perfectly symbolized in the first few minutes of the first movie. In a hilariously choreographed sequence, Frank Drebin takes a trip to Beirut where he beats the tar out of a bunch of anti-American world leaders. But the nature of these sequences are no less serious than an old-school WrestleMania fight. There's even a touch of fourth wall-breaking commentary to supplement the humor. Both sequels follow a similar formula, using hilariously chaotic opening scenes to set the comedic tone. And from there, it does not let up. There's no effort to shift gears or slip in some heavier themes. These movies know what they are. They don't try to be more or less. They just set a particular tone for a specific brand of comedy. Then they dial the absurdity up to 11 and beyond. The end result is a steady stream of hilarity that is neither complicated nor overly basic. From top to bottom, it's just plain funny. Now, I could make entire videos about certain scenes, sequences, and recurring gags. But rather than go joke by joke, I'm just going to focus on the bigger picture. Because even though the comedy in these movies is simple in principle, it's also quite broad in terms of how it manifests. The general slapstick nature is not at all new. Classic shows like The Three Stooges were doing similar cartoonish antics decades ago. The wacky violence, the wordplay, and the over-the-top absurdity was all there and plenty funny. But then in 1980, the future director of The Naked Gun, David Zucker, took it to another level with the movie Airplane. And that movie was very much a precursor to The Naked Gun. It even gave Leslie Nielsen his first major comedy role. And while Airplane is a comedy classic in its own right, The Naked Gun further improved on that foundation, first as a short-lived TV series in 1982, and ultimately as the iconic movie franchise that we know and love now. But whereas Airplane was a direct parody of a serious disaster movie, The Naked Gun was more ambitious in that it gave the same treatment to the police. And that's bound to be bold, as well as challenging. Because mocking the police, even in the late 80s before the LA riots, was bound to invite scrutiny. But the movies made it work by really leaning into every overdone, overplayed trope we've come to expect. At times, Frank Drebin carries himself like an old-school detective from a classic noir movie. In others, he approaches police work with the same recklessness as Dirty Harry in a classic Western. The framework is there, but there's just one problem. Frank Drebin is hilariously clueless, incredibly dense, and clumsy to an extreme. He is truly a walking manifestation of succeeding solely because he has more luck than brains. But the movie is definitely self-aware in that regard. There's never this effort to sell the audience that Drebin is a supremely competent detective. Anytime he achieves something, it's either by accident, blind luck, or some absurd contrivance. But therein lies the true brilliance of The Naked Gun. No matter how bumbling or inept Drebin is, there's always a layer of comedy baked in. Whether it involves disarming a bomb, protecting the Queen of England, or infiltrating a prison, it's always presented as a joke. Yet Drebin himself plays it seriously, and in a way that only an actor like Leslie Nielsen could ever achieve. But Frank Drebin isn't the only one who draws from this style of comedy. Every supporting character is similar in that they have their share of unique quirks. There's Nordberg, who keeps getting hurt and injured in hilarious ways. There's also Ed Hocken, who keeps trying to rein in Drebin's recklessness, while also dealing with a hilariously failed marriage. And then there are the villains, another key ingredient that makes these movies work so well. They are not complex, they are not deep, and they don't ever try to be. Every one of them, Vincent Ludwig, Quentin Habsburg, and Rocco Dillon, they're also overtly cartoonish in terms of persona and deviousness. But they're also ambitious. Their plans are big in terms of scope and scale. But they're also not afraid to use Looney Tunes level plot devices, like mind control devices and bombs that disarm themselves when you accidentally unplug them. But in addition to adding to the absurdity, this brand of villain keeps the plot simple and the stakes understandable. There's no need to scrutinize or overthink anything. The only real mystery surrounding these movies is how someone as inept as Frank Drebin will ultimately stop them. And being that over the top works perfectly with the tone and style of The Naked Gun. Every character presents themselves in a serious demeanor in serious situations. But the action, the dialogue, and even the world around them never strays too far from the comedy. Even on a smaller scale, these movies never miss a chance to throw in a few quips and jokes. There's often a coy sense of wordplay involved, from the names of famous boxers, to complimenting Jane Spencer on her beaver, to the acronyms of evil organizations like Smoke, Spill, and Kaboom. It doesn't always serve the plot, but it does maintain the tone. From start to finish, there's a consistent style for The Naked Gun. And every character and every plot point fits that style. So if you find the first 5 minutes funny, then chances are you'll find the whole movie funny. It's consistent in that there's always another joke in the works, but it's always balanced in the sense that the plot remains simple and coherent. You don't have to be smart, informed, or even sober to fully enjoy this brand of comedy. The Naked Gun lends itself to every kind of humorous inclination. It has some dirty jokes for those with dirty minds. It also has some smarter jokes for those with more refined tastes. But no matter what brand of humor you prefer, The Naked Gun really has something for everyone. Even after all these years, these movies still hold up. People from any demographic can watch them and find something to laugh at. Times may change, and comedy as we know it will continue to evolve along with the world around us. But no matter how absurd or serious our state of affairs might get, surely we can all take comfort in the fact that The Naked Gun is still the perfect comedy. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for joining me in my world. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, take care and stay safe.